What's up, my loves? My name is Paige, this is Paige from the Page, and this is my November and Believathon Wrap Up. Oh dear. Three quick things before we dive on into the video. Firstly, I apologise for my neighbours mowing their lawn. I can't do much about it. Need to film a few videos today, so we're just going to blast on through. I hope it's not too distracting, and I'm really sorry if it is. Secondly, don't forget to use my code PAGE10 at the Bookshop code to get 10% off your order. Alyssa makes wonderful candles, bookmarks, book sleeves, scrunchies. Her candle range for Christmas is, oh, I'm so excited to get my hands on it, and yeah, it's just wonderful. So go check it out and see if there's anything that you want to get your families or friends or treat yourself for Christmas. Thirdly, you might want to go get a beverage of some description because, oh goodness, Believathon happened and I read 20 things this month. I am so proud. My reading is back. I feel my mojo is back. We had the most number of pages read in a month this year. Buckle up. I might turbo through these. Not my most coherent thoughts. I'd also check out my Believathon vlogs because I did document my thoughts for everything, not just my Believathon reads. So if you're interested in that, you can see the progression of my madness, which can be quite entertaining. Okay, we're all ready. Let's dive in. The first book I read in the month of November was Matilda by Roald Dahl, and this was a 5 out of 5 star read. I absolutely love this. Every time I read it, it just fills me with joy. I know that after reading the 1-star reviews of my favorite books, there is quite a few. It's problematic, but I feel like for me it has such wholesome messages that when you're reading it in a way that I think Roald Dahl originally intended it, it's really just an amazing, wholesome book. This was to fulfill the prompt of Footprints, read a book that features a prominent villain. And I think Agatha Trunchbull is a pretty prominent and prolific villain. Matilda was also part of Twisted Choose My TBR, and that was a reread. It was meant to be a contemporary. I feel like it's close enough to be a contemporary, it just has fantastical elements in it. So we're counting it. The next one I read was The Witches, which is originally written by Roald Dahl, but this was adapted into the graphic novel by Penelope Bagiu. This was for the Torn page, which was to feature some supernatural elements. And yeah, creative license was definitely taken. So the protagonist befriends a girl, wherein the original it's this like really annoying boy, but I found that it really worked for the story. Also, the grandmother in this really hit home. She was very much like my grandmother. Used to be smoking cigars and things like that, and it was just kind of nice seeing her portrayed that way because she was like this short little thing. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it was a 4-star read. I think the graphic novel didn't hinder the story, but I don't feel like it was a necessary shift. I think with the movie coming out, I can understand why they're promoting different forms of it, but yeah, overall, just an enjoyable read. The next book I read was for Backpack, a new to you author, and that was The Boy, The Mould, The Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. Actually, we don't know how to pronounce it, sorry. So this was a 4.5 read for me, and I'm so on the fence. It's not just a 4-star read, it's more than a 4-star read, but it's not quite the 5-star read, so I'm a little bit conflicted. I've started at 4.5 because I feel like that's accurate, but it's just so beautiful, and the messages in it, oh, it just really encapsulated everything that it was trying to, and it's just so beautiful, and I highly recommend anyone of any age picking this up. It's great for kids, it's great for teenagers, it's great for adults, and yeah, highly recommend. The next book I read was Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the 3rd book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series, and this was a 3-star read. It was really enjoyable. I feel like I'm too old for this sort of character, if that makes sense. So I felt that Lara Jean, the way that she talks, it just didn't meld with me because I've outgrown that way of thinking and that way of talking about boys and life and things like that. It was nice seeing her deliberate what she wanted to do for college. Obviously this didn't go towards Believathon prompt, but it was for Twisted Chooses My TBR to finish a series, and that was also contemporary, so very happy that I did finish off this series before the end of the year. The next book I read was Tilly and the Map of Stories, which is Pages and Co. 3 by Anna James, and this was a 5-star read. I absolutely adored them, traveling through the different kinds of stories, and just everything that was put forth in this I just absolutely loved. This was for Believathon of the prompt chain to read a book with a colourful cast of friends. I feel like Tilly's friend Oscar, as well as the friends that she makes along the way, are all really supportive and really lovely, and definitely a large cast of characters. There's a new gentleman that gets introduced, and I'm excited to see where his story goes as well. This was for Twisted Chooses My TBR to read a book I've already started. It did need to be a contemporary, and this really isn't. Since I feel like they spend more times in books than not, but we're still going to count it because our game, our rules. And I had already started this in October. I think I got like 20 pages into it, and then was like, oh, Believathon's next month, I gotta stop. So then I stopped, put it down, and then had the perfect prompt for it. Then I was feeling a little bit slumpy, so I decided to read Giant Days Volume 2 by John Allison. This is a graphic novel series that I just absolutely adore. I've only read now 2 volumes of it, but every volume just, it speaks to me in a way that's just so, yes, it's like they're aged up enough but still acting young enough that it's relatable in a positive way. Definitely a 5-star read, absolutely adored it. Was such a nice little palette cleanser, and yeah, not much else to say on that one. Next up, I read Melon Bound by Aisha Said. I got this back in June or July, I think, and I've been dying to put it on a TBR, and I finally got to it. Holy shit, absolutely love this. 5-star read. It's just so beautiful in seeing what happens with Amal, and their goal is to become a teacher, but then they're indebted to a family that's very corrupt, and just what you do to survive any situation. This was for the prompt of fingerprints to read a book featuring a different culture. So this definitely is not my culture, and it was so beautiful seeing the different culture that was presented, and just everything about it was done so eloquently, and it really felt like I was there, I was experiencing it, and it was so great to just dive into this. Next up we had Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow, which is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. This series, it just gives me so much joy. Honestly, it was great. I really enjoyed seeing how Morgan sort of is discovering herself, where she wants to go, how learning the magic, that was brilliant. I loved like her little, it wasn't a training montage because she still is trying to grasp it. It was like lesson by lesson. It was just, so good. This was for the prompt of The Crown, read a book set in a different world than ours, and this is definitely not set in our world, but it was just delightful. This was also for Twisted Chooses Our TBR, the newest published middle grade. At the time, there was a few that I was deliberating, but this was probably the newest. And yeah, yes, 5-star. Then I took a bit of a break from middle grades, and my soul, I don't know why I read these back to back, but the next book I read was Hunger by Roxane Gay, and oofed. So this is a memoir of Roxane Gay and her struggles with her body, with weight, with societal expectations, and the way that being fat is seen as such a bad thing. And it was her just articulating the reason behind why she ate as much as she did to get to the point where she was, and then her relationship with food since then. Oofty. Like, it was so hard to read. April and I were reading it at the same time, and she just messaged me at a particular point because I have a particular phobia that was prevalent, as you can imagine, with eating disorders. So she messaged me when it was coming up, so then I wasn't going into it blind. I believe the main chunk of it, if anyone does want to read this but is in a similar sort of mindset to me, would be from chapter 43 onwards, I think. But I will double check that and leave in the description box like the chapters where it's mentioned, just so no one's being triggered from that particular one. If you do have any issues with relationship with food, be careful going into this. I think it's fascinating. I think it's brilliantly written and definitely a 5-star, but just go into it with caution because holy sweet lordy. Then I followed it with Know My Name by Chanel Miller. We had a week of being hit in the feelings. My vlog really, it doesn't articulate my thoughts well, but it expresses my frustration. I think it was week 2, my week 2 vlog, that of the legal system, and just there are some amazing quotes. Chanel Miller is such an amazing writer. Like, I tabbed the shit out of it. And just, there are just so many quotes in here where I feel so represented as a survivor of sexual assault, as a woman, as just, everything about it. Like, there was one particular quote where they got a desk delivered from Craigslist, and it was so Chanel buys a desk on Craigslist and a nice couple arrived to deliver it. The woman called and said, "We're outside, we can help you carry it in, but I understand if you don't want us in your home because, you know, Craigslist people. I just don't want to." The man said, "Well, how else is she going to carry the desk?" I understood what the woman meant, that a transaction as simple as receiving a piece of furniture from a stranger possessed an inherent threat that any time we meet someone online, we must scan for signs of assault, rape, death, etc. We knew this, but the guy did not speak this language. He just saw a desk. The legal system's fucked. I don't know how Brock Turner got away with just having 3 months in jail. Like, it is unacceptable. And it's not just about Chanel. Like, her battle wasn't just against her rapist by the end. It was about being humanized in the justice system. It was about all the women that were fighting to be heard when they just brush the system under they've just brushed them under the rug. 5-star read, hurt my soul. I'm going to stop talking about it and move on because we still have a lot of books to go, but please, if you can deal with this content matter, pick it up because her eloquently written brain is just superb and I highly recommend it. Also, if you just want to be angry. This also went towards a 5-star prediction and an adult book. Hit that one right out of the ballpark. Back into Believathon reads. We have The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Metalstone by Jacqueline Moriarty. This is for the hand mirror, and that was to read a book with a beautiful cover, and this is stunning. Like, a lot of these covers are just so stunning, but that's the one I assigned this one for. This was a 4-star read. I think it was really great for young readers, and I would highly recommend, like, every school library getting these in, like, primary school, just so kids can be exposed to these and, like, feel confident reading a chunky book, because this is not a thin book, but it was absolutely amazing. So would highly recommend for younger readers. For myself, it was just a 4-star, pretty predictable, but still a great adventure. The next time was my last Twisted Choose, my TBR prompt, and that was a pretty cover in a fantasy genre. And I read The Grandest Bookshop in the World by Amelia Mellor, so I do not have to go on a book buying ban in December, which is great because I've already bought a book, but that's for my dad, so does that count? I don't know. Anyway, I don't have to go on a book buying ban, and I completed every prompt for Twisted Chooses. So this was a 4-star read for me. I loved seeing it set in Australia in 1893 at the Coles Bookshop. It was really fantastical and whimsical. I think in my vlog I described it as, how did I describe it? I know it's sort of like the Hotel de Caerleon in Nevermore mixed with Australia, I suppose. But I just mixed with a Dimmicks store in Australia. But yeah, I really loved it. I think it was great. So 4-star read, and it was just really nice seeing the different adventures that Pearl and Valley went on. Next up, we had another 5-star read for Believathon, and that was Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. I think I kept saying When the Mountain Meets the Moon, and I kept going to say Where the Mountain Meets the Sea, even though I'm thinking of a song. But Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. This was for Flash of Lightning, a book featuring or incorporating fairy folklores, and this did that perfectly. So they would tell a story, they'd introduce a plot point, and then tell the story behind how they've got to that point, and it was just so beautiful. The illustrations in it are also absolutely stunning, and I just really, really love this. I can see why it's one of Gavin's new favorites, and I would highly recommend it to anyone and everyone, just to get like a little taste of something different, but done in a way that is so beautiful. So yeah, highly recommend. Took a quick break to do a buddy read, and then I'm sorry girls, so I essentially sectioned it out that I had to read a book every 2 days to be able to get through everything, and so I just blasted through the sections of this without really like pacing it out for the girls, and we haven't actually talked about it, but that's for April from Aprilius Maximus and Whit from Wit and Wisdom, and we were reading Miranda by Samaya Dab. This caught me by surprise. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read, and I think I just didn't know what I was going to get when I went into it. I got it in the Owl Crate box last year or the year before, and I was just going on for the ride. I didn't intend on reading this anytime soon, and then the girls were like, we're doing a buddy read, and I'm like, I should read that. So I joined in, but Hermione is essentially forced to be the body double of the Princess Miranda in this like sci-fi desert fantasy, just awesome world building setting, and it's her coming to terms with her similarities, being a prisoner but having all these freedoms. There's a really cute relationship, but I don't know how I feel about it. If you're not fond of cheating, be warned. But I don't know, I just found that like it was more of they're in engagement of convenience and then they actually find one another. But yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, just going off on a thought about that. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's great for just something different. It did give me sort of straight Cryer's War vibes, but still a really enjoyable read. And yeah, if you're looking for something that's a little bit different than just your typical YA fantasy, might give this a shot. Then we jumped into Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. This is the second in the Cassidy Blake series, and this was fulfilling the prompt of Spilled Ink, read a book featuring ghosts. So easy double up there. I was like, yep, sign me up. And I gave it 4 stars. It was a really nice paranormal fantasy. And this was also when I got addicted to the 100 Baby Challenge and just listening to audiobooks whilst playing. So apologies for my lack of coherent thoughts. There was a lot going on in my brain when I was reading these progressive middle grades. So I loved hearing Jacob's backstory. Like, oh, I wanted that in the first book, and getting it here just, yes. I really enjoyed the setting, and the catatombs were really, really, really funky. And yeah, just overall, it was a good, creepy sort of vibe and just an enjoyable reading experience. Like, it wasn't too stressful, but it still had like that airiness that I'm learning I actually really enjoy in books, because I don't want to be scared. And I think maybe because it's middle grade, that's why I'm like okay with it. Next up, I had a book club book, and that was The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and I gave this a 4-star. So I was like teetering on the edge. I thought it would be a 5-star, but I think I found the relationship in this just a little bit eye-roll worthy. It didn't have to be the way that it was, but obviously when you're looking at a YA fantasy, it is like recommended as a horror, but I didn't find it a horror at all. People were talking about particular things, so I was like, oh, was that meant to be horror? I suppose when I think of horror, I'm like really scared, and I don't know whether it was just the writing style that didn't make it spooky, or the fact that I was like binge reading it and still enjoying it. Oh look, photos. For me, 4 stars, really, really enjoyable, great discussion on it at book club. We'll happily continue on with the second one. I'm so excited. I don't know if it's going to be a prequel or a sequel, because this wrapped up in itself. So originally I thought this was a standalone. I was looking at Goodreads, I was like, oh, no, it's not. But yeah, I think there are a lot of really powerful quotes about the color of your skin. There was a lot of commentary on racism, especially in the time setting that this is in, as well as sexism, and really tackles those quite well. I found it really interesting, and like the prophet's character, I just wanted to like hit him in the face with a frying pan. But you know, it's a good book when it gets your emotions going. So then my last physical read of the month was The Wizards of Once Twice Magic by Cressida Cowell. This again was a 4-star read. Listening to David Tennant's narration, just chef's kiss. So I love reading the book while listening to David Tennant's narration, just because there's so many cute illustrations, and I feel like you just get so much more out of the story doing it that way. This was for the dagger, to read a book in a dangerous setting, so I feel like just this whole world is dangerous. I would not want to be on either party, because either party keep going to war with the other one, and it's just a mess. But overall, really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm curious to see who the narrator is. I know Gavin knows, but I suppose I'll just have to pick up the 3rd and the 4th ones pretty quickly so I can answer that. Stay tuned for the end of next year where I say I haven't read those. And then we hit my obsession full blown with the 100 Baby Challenge. So I ended up reading 3 more books, 2 of which went for Believathon and 1 that was just an extra because I wanted to listen to an audiobook while playing Sims. And the first one was Dark Whispers by Vashti Hardy. This was for the prompt of the screen to listen to an audiobook. So I did. It's great. I love Adam and Morty. They're just so precious. This book also got my feelings going because there was a situation that happened that I thought, oh no, that's fine. That can't be true. And then, no, it was. And emotional investment in characters is the thing. Gave this a 4-star. It just didn't have that boom pow 5 that could have been because I was just not paying. It wasn't that I wasn't paying full attention, but I wasn't like in the story. I wasn't just listening to it and being immersed in it. I was just listening to it and enjoying it. And that's reflective in my rating. Who knows? The next one was A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan. I've wanted to read this for so long. I don't know why, but I saw it in the bookstore, bought it for my family friend's niece person thing, and then I was like, you know what, I really want to listen to this. So this became my audiobook, and this fulfilled the prompt of the key, which was to read a mystery. So this does have a mystery element to it. I wouldn't say it's mystery, but it's enough of it that it had me questioning what's going on. 4 stars because it was a little bit predictable. You could see it unfolding in the way that it wanted to. I'm curious to see where the 2nd and 3rd go though. I think they might be a little bit higher if they go in different directions to what I'm expecting. But when we start, you know your villains, you know what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm curious to see how the next 2 go, but this is still enjoyable. And then the last book that I read for the month of November was Other Words for Home by Jasmine Walker. This was a 5-star read and it was absolutely beautiful. The main message of it is to have empathy for others, and it just did it so brilliantly. Seeing our protagonist Judah was just so precious in the way that she looked at life and addressed issues and felt different ways. Chef's kiss, absolutely beautiful. Really, really loved it. I think it's great for anyone to listen to. I think that it's a necessary read to help develop empathy and compassion and seeing different ways and perspectives and lives. It was so good. Absolutely loved it. Cannot recommend enough. Definitely check it out. It's on the Australian script. I don't know if it's different internationally, but go check it out because yes. For once I'm grateful I have 5 digital copies of things because this pile's getting out of hand. Don't forget to use my code PAGE10 at the Bookshop code to get 10% off your order, and let me know in the comments below, how did your Believathon go? Were you participating? Because whoa damn, that's a lot of books and I am so proud. Cannot deal. Just thank you, Gavin. Thank you. You are an amazing human and I love the effort that you put into these readathons every single time. Just, yes. This was like 6,626 pages, I think. What the hell? What in the sweet Jesus? If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to be part of this bookish family and see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in our next video. Bye!